Good morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion briefing for this Wednesday, December 11th. Looking at precipitation the past 7 days, been quite wet across most areas. Areas in the green, a half-inch or more of precipitation, but just about every area has seen some measurable rainfall over the past 7 days. You can see on the right-hand side the percent of normal, the drier than normal signals across the northern half of the geographic area, and the progressively wetter than normal areas as much as 300 to 400% across parts of southern Nevada and southern Utah. Looking at snowfall, first of all, on the left-hand side, in the past 72 hours, we've had some fresh snow across the higher terrain of Utah into western Wyoming. Areas in the dark blue, 4 inches. Areas in the yellow, anywhere from 6 to 12 inches. Snow cover on the map in the last couple of days has melted off in lower elevations below 5,000 feet for the most part, but still deepening snowpack across the higher terrain areas across just about the entire Great Basin. Current 100-hour fuels quite moist through here. The light green to green areas basically 16 to 20% or greater. 1,000-hour fuels also quite moist as well, generally above 16%, and many of the darker green areas above 20%. So quite moist, a fair amount of snow cover. Looks like still in many areas, middle to higher terrain areas, looks like pile burning still probably the best option, especially in forested areas. Looking at current satellite imagery, we have one trough of low pressure exiting the eastern Great Basin from Utah to parts of eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. A new storm system very quickly following on its heels, pushing into the Pacific Northwest and northern California. So there could be a brief dry break today across the Great Basin, but more clouds and moisture will be returning. So looking at late today into this evening, there's that next storm system very quickly pushing across northern Nevada into Idaho with valley rains and mountain snows. Dispersion overall not too bad. Very few areas in the purple. A closer look at transport winds and mixing heights. You can see light transport winds here in the gray shades. Those are basically 0 to 4 miles per hour. Greater speeds, we see the dark green and orange shades. Vertical mixing, again, lowest in the purple shades, best in the yellow to orange shades. Now for Thursday, that storm system starts brushing across much of the area with valley rains and mountain snows. Some limited dispersion here in northern areas due primarily to cloud cover, but if you look at the transport winds, they'll be quite good in those areas. Mixing heights also looking pretty good in many of those areas. Friday, much of the same. We are under the influence of a large storm system. This area in moisture and green is where it's going to be cloudy and precipitating, so basically over 90% of the geographic area, maybe excluding far southern Nevada at best. Dispersion looking pretty good. Very few areas in the purple, lots more areas in the white to yellow. We have either good transport winds in the dark green to orange and red shades, even some strong transport winds in eastern Utah. But even in areas of light winds, there's still good vertical mixing of several thousand feet where you see areas in the yellow. Now for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the clearing index across Utah, you can see pretty good across the higher terrain, but still lingering inversions across the lower valley, especially northwest Utah and the desert areas in the Uinta Basin, and down towards Price and Green as well. But it starts improving more and more as we go to Wednesday. Thursday is the middle day. Friday, the last day. A lot more areas in the red and orange under the influence of that storm system and also the good transport winds. Now the 3-day precipitation total from Wednesday evening through Saturday evening, where you see the blue to light blue shades, anywhere from a ½ inch to 1.5 inches of precipitation. Highest elevations, it'll be anywhere from 8 to 15 inches of new snowfall. Lower elevations will see wetting rains. Dry across the southern portion of the Great Basin. So it looks like even areas in the central mountains of Idaho, which have been quite dry the past 1 to 2 weeks, will see some significant precipitation. Now, further down the road this weekend on Saturday, some moisture begins to split. Part of it goes into the southern Great Basin, part of it stays to our north. A little dry island here in the middle. Notice on the right-hand side, excellent overall dispersion. Sunday, Looking at a break for now, drier air on northwest winds, but more moisture pushing into the Pacific Northwest. Good to excellent overall dispersion. Got a ridge of high pressure building in, and that will probably give us some fair weather and slows the storm system off the Pacific coast. If we go to the next day, which will be next Tuesday, December 17th, there's a trough low pressure pushing in with clouds and probably some precipitation for the western portions of the Great Basin. Still overall good dispersion, especially western areas. Precipitation accumulation, these will be days 4 and 5, Saturday night through Monday night, and we see it confined this time to southern areas and far western areas, but on the light to moderate side, 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. Further down the road, 8 to 14, the outlook. This takes us from December 18th through the 24th. Slightly warmer than normal temperatures. We won't be affected so much by cold Arctic air. However, it will be on the cloudy and moist side with above normal chances of precipitation in these areas of green, especially across western and northern areas of the Great Basin. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.